Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear participants. Welcome to this session of Quran for Ramadan. Today we'll be looking at another passage of the Quran, and this is one of the most profound passages of the Quran. Actually, it inspires us and it asks us to reflect and deliberate and use our power of reasoning and intellect, something which makes us adhere and, of course, come into the folds of human beings. So this is what distinguishes us from animals, that we are able to reflect, able to deliberate on the people around us, on the elements of nature around us, and how they inspire us and how we can come closer to God by looking at them. So these verses are from Surah number 31, which is Surah Ar-Rum, and as you can see, these verses will be very exhilarating for the soul, something that you really find to be quenching your thirst for the truth. So the words are وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ ثُمَّ إِذَا أَنْتُمْ بَشَرٌ تَنْتَشِرُونَ وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون ومن آياته خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف ألسنتكم وألوانكم إن في ذلك لآيات للعالمين. And from among his signs is this also, that he has created you from clay. Then before long you grow into human beings and spread out in the land. And from among his signs is also that he has made your pairs from your own species, so that you can receive comfort from them, and has created love and affection between you. There are there certainly are great signs in this for those who reflect. The creation of the heavens and the earth, and the diversity in your languages and colors, is also from among his signs. In it, there certainly are many signs for those endowed with knowledge. So as you can see that this verse starts off by inviting us to reflect on the world around us, on the matter of our own creation, on the fact that he has made human beings from the same species, the male and the female, they come from the same species, and the purpose is so that they can give comfort to one another. There is a natural bond of affinity between the two. And then, of course, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and how people in this world speak of so many different languages, and obviously, as you can see, the colors and the hues which everyone possesses from east to west, from north to south, is so amazingly diversified that one really thinks and wonders, how can all this be so possible? And that is why at the end of each of these verses you can see that the Quran is telling us that inna fi zalika la ayatin liqaumin yatafakkarun, and then it says that inna fi zalika la ayatan lil alamin, which means alameen, which means that people who reflect, people who deep down in their hearts would like to know what the truth is, for them this creation of the heavens and the earth and this creation of man and woman, they are great signs of God's creation. And of course, the foremost thing which is mentioned here is that as far as human beings are concerned, for them, the greatest cause of comfort is the fact that they have come into existence in a way that they, between themselves, receive this comfort from one another. So the comfort which a spouse receives from the other spouse is well known. In fact, if we look at the construction, if you look at the form, if we look at the mold of how each of these genders have been made, we can see that there is some thirst, there's something lacking which is actually filled by the other. So there are some things which women need from men, and there are other things which men need from women in order to make themselves a complete and a meaningful existence. They come together in a universal, everlasting bond of marriage so that they can fulfill the needs of one another, both psychological, physical, and above all, the needs of being companions to one another. And this is a very great blessing of God, that as men and women, they come into this eternal, this holy union called marriage, they are able to provide comfort to one another. They are able to become, as the Quran says, the apparel of one another. And at the same time, they are confidants of one another. They are friends to one another. They are always trying to help each other grow. They gain from one another, and the point of their contact and the point of their union is that they are able to really support one another. There's no issue of point scoring, there's no issue of trying to bring the other person down. It is basically a union in which this companionship should work in a very, very favorable way. And for this, the Quran, as we have just read, says, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, that there is a natural bond of affiliation between the two genders. This natural bond of affiliation between the two genders is so profound, it is so strong that it's like an instinctive thing, something which is impulsive, something that you don't need to have you don't need to act it out. Basically, it's already found in you. It's a question of coming closer to one another, always realizing as spouses that each one of us, we have our deficiencies, we have our shortcomings, and the real beauty of marriage, of course, is to overcome and to overlook actually these shortcomings, and at the same time realize that coming from different backgrounds, coming from different families and different family structures, each one is going to have a different habit, a different style of life, and the beauty is to actually adjust to this style of life, to give and take, and always ignore and move ahead in life. And that is what the Quran says is this beautiful family union is all about. And it is precisely for this reason that you would find that during nikah sermons and during marriage sermons, this verse is often quoted. And even when marriage cards are printed, you'll find that this is one of the verses that is cited, because this actually highlights the reason of this holy union, that you are able to obtain comfort from one another. So, as you can see, the Quran says that there are great signs in this, and people who reflect, they find that the scheme of God has a very special purpose. Of course, producing children and furthering the cause of mankind, that is a byproduct. But essentially, we have to realize that marriage is a companionship. It's not a dictatorship. It's not about spouses dominating the other spouse. It's about spouses becoming companions to one another. The next thing which is mentioned, of course, is also something very compelling and something that we observe so very thoroughly around us, and that is وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, and amongst his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth. Now, this is a very commonplace invitation of observation that we find spread in the Quran. It invites us to look at how the Almighty has created this heaven, these skies above us, and this earth that we inhabit. In fact, on one occasion in the Quran, we have been told that as far as human beings are concerned, and as far as the creation of God is concerned, God has actually created 7 heavens, so to speak, or 7 universes. And in each of these universes, the Quran says, وَمِنَ الْأَرْضِ مِثْلَهُمْ, which means that each of these universes has a earth like you, the earth in which people inhabit or would be inhabiting. We don't know who would they be. But yes, if you look at this, you can certainly see that there are all the possibilities of ET or extraterrestrial life, as they say. And so therefore, the Quran has actually given us this food for thought, to something to chew on, that it's not just this world that we have around us. The way it has been created, there's absolutely no flaw in it. There's no fissure that you can detect. Everything works to the dot. Everything is so punctual. The sun sets and the sun rises at given times. The heavenly bodies, the stars, the earth, the moon, everything around us, they have a specific time schedule, and they never disobey that time schedule. And similar is the case with our own earth, the way it has been structured, the way mountains have been placed on it, the way the elements of nature work for our own benefit. So all this is a great sign of the Almighty. And the next thing which is mentioned in this verse is the fact that all of us, we are inhabiting this planet Earth, over 7 billion people, all of us, we have different languages, there are different dialects, there are different styles, and then there are different hues and colors that everyone has. And this diversity is so mind-boggling that we know from science also that regarding these 7 billion people that we have around us, there is not a single person whose DNA can be replicated by another person. So every single existence has its own unique DNA structure, which is supremely unique. It's so profound. that we are compelled to believe that this could not have come into existence without any effort, without any intent, and without a superior being, a supreme being planning to make it work and make it bring in and to bring it into existence. So that is why the Quran has asked us to believe in this, the world around us, and if we don't, then of course we have, I mean, we will fall short, and not only that, but we'll be wandering in the labyrinths of science, maybe, or philosophy, in which, of course, atheism will be the guiding light, and God, as far as the guiding light is concerned, find that absent when we do that. And that is why the Quran says, "Inna fi zalika la ayatan lil alameen," that this is a great sign for people who reflect, people who are endowed with knowledge, people who have thought and intellect. And then the next verse which says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ مَنَامُكُمْ بِاللَّيْلِ وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ مَنَامُكُمْ بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَابْتِغَاؤُكُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَسْمَعُونَ. So in other of his signs, the Quran says, in a similar way, your sleeping by night and day and finding his bounty are also among his signs. And of course, the fact that we sleep at night and by day we find God's bounty, referring to the fact that our bodies are geared to work in the morning or during the day, and they automatically get tired in the dark of night. And the night seems so harmonious, so soothing for a person who gets tired with all the livelihood activities going on in the morning, as has been described here. وَابْتِغَاؤُكُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَسْمَعُونَ. Surely there are many signs in this for people who listen from the airs of their hearts. The people who have hearts, people who have vibrant hearts, people who have vibrant souls, they know that this sleeping by night and this rising by the day and working in the day is so suited to our bodily metabolism, and at the same time we are able to discharge our duties exactly in harmony with the requisites of our own body. ومن آياته يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينزل من السماء ماء فيحيي به الأرض بعد موتها. And from among his signs is also that he shows you flashes of lightning which produce fear also and hope as well, and rains down water from the heavens. Then he revives the land from it after it dies. Surely there are many signs in this for those who use their intellect. Again, something that we witness every now and then, the lightning and the thunder, how lightning at times strikes the earth and it causes fear and desperation, and how at times rain, they come down when there's absolutely hopelessness around us. We think that there's no chance of rain. The earth has died, there is no vegetation, but suddenly we find that there's a cloud burst, clouds gather, they burst, and down comes the rain. So as the Quran says, يُحْيِي الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. So this is something how God says He's going to recreate people also. So just as when the earth becomes dry and desolate, and you feel that it cannot live again, it cannot revive with this vegetation, suddenly there is this outburst of rain, and with that you see vegetation being sprouted. So this is a phenomena which the Quran has used at a number of instances to say that just as God revives a dead piece of land, in a similar way He is going to revive the dead. People who pass away, they are going to be brought to life once and for all, once again in the hereafter. And this is a phenomenon that we witness every now and then when we see that how rain actually enlivens a dead piece of land. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَن تَقُومَ السَّمَاءُ وَالْأَرْضُ بِأَمْرِهِ ثُمَّ إِذَا دَعَاكُمْ دَعْوَةً مِنَ الْأَرْضِ إِذَا أَنْتُمْ تَخْرُجُونَ. And from among His signs is also that the heavens and the earth exist because of His command. Then only when once He will summon you, come out from the earth, and you will come out as soon as you hear it. So this again is something which is like a miracle that's going to happen in the near future, that at God's bidding, at His behest, there will be just one trumpet blown, after which every person will rise from his grave. And then, as the Quran says, إِذَا أَنْتُمْ تَخْرُجُونَ, we will come out of our graves and we will be given new, of course, with new bodies, and then we will be there to face our reckoning. So how beautifully these verses of the Quran invite us to reflect and at the same time realize that there is a creator behind all this structure that we have before us, and there is going to be a day of accountability that all of us are going to encounter one day. So with this, we come to an end to this discussion today, and we are now moving towards the Q&A session.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saleem. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. But thank you for a wonderful session, Dr. Saleem. I am still waiting for some hands to be raised. I'm hoping that it's going to happen soon. Yes. Asad Mirza, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saab. Very good sermon you have given. My question to you is that despite all the signs which are present all around us, this relates to every religion, then why atheism is nowadays so spreading fast? And what are the how to sort of avoid that? How to sort of
I think
reduce the influence of that?
Yes, I do understand. This is something that we discussed earlier as well, but just to be in a very brief and a short way, there are basically three causes of atheism. One of them is that people are not able to reconcile the misery of this world with the mercy of God. So when they see that there is a lot of misery on earth, we see that people are being killed, we find child rapists, we have child molesters, we have accidents, we have so many calamities, we have earthquakes and tsunamis, etc. So this is something which people who believe in God, they think that if there is a God and who is merciful, then why is it that He allows this misery to happen here? So one of these causes of atheism. The second, of course, is the very ugly presentation of religion, which all of us are guilty of, especially who are presenters of religion. And this is regardless of Islam. I would say all divine religions, the way they are today presented, in a very illogical way. That's a second reason for people to move away from religion. And the third way, of course, and that is not, it's not something, as we say, last but not the least, is the character of people who present religion. You find them to be the worst people on earth, so to speak. I'm not talking about all of them, but a majority of them are individuals who also can be blamed of a lot of things. And if you are aware of what's going on today in history, in Christendom, in Islamdom, you'll see that every now and then the Pope is forgiving bishops and other dignitaries and apostolics that they forgive themselves because they have molested children in the past, and so therefore he would ask for forgiveness. No different is the case with Muslim preachers when they have this habit of molesting children. So I think these are the three reasons that has turned people away from atheism. But again, as I said, this is not an excuse for people today who think that the word of God is before them, and if they are able to at least understand this word of God, then this would be something that could be a counter to this wave of atheism.
Thank you, Dr. Saleem. Talat Wahid, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
जी शुक्रिया बहुत बहुत सर इज इट ओके टू आस्क इन उर्दू
यस इट्स फाइन
अच्छा इसमें कौन सी आयत से हमने शुरू किया था 20 अच्छा हाँ यहाँ इस आयत में लिल आलमीन 22 में तो ये एक आलमीन है और शायद तो इसमें जो ये निशानियां हैं ये आलमीन में हम लोग हैं इंसान या दूसरी मखलूकात भी हैं जिन भी हैं
नहीं देखें इस वक्त तो ये हमें एड्रेस कर रहा है ना ये हमें ही बता रहा है कि जो दुनिया वाले हैं जो रहने वाले हैं जो गौर करने वाले हैं जो इस दुनिया के इनहेबिटेंट्स हैं उनके लिए बड़ी निशानियां हैं यानी यहाँ मुराद तो हम हैं
अच्छा ठीक है
अब्दुल वदूद काजी आप सवाल कर लीजिए
Dr. Shehzad, my question relates to Ramadan and spending time with your spouse. Let's say a spouse and the husband both decide to take a break every week, not fast one day and cover them later after the month of Ramadan. Is that a sin?
I mean, you should have a reason, a valid reason to justify before God. That could be a reason. Otherwise, I mean, for any valid reason, this could be a personal reason, this could be something that you are convinced of, and then you can make up for the missed one later on. That is all what I can say. I mean, there are a lot of things that, your own conscience and your own nature and the way you have been brought up and the situation that you are in, because there is such a diverse situation that people face, that maybe at times they need to give this break. I cannot give a value judgment or an opinion. All that I can say is for any valid reason, this can be done.
Thank you, Dr. Saleem. Imran Khan, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, मेरा सवाल थोड़ा सा शायद से different. I hope it's okay to ask this question right now, or should I wait for?
Imran, हाँ आप पूछ लीजिए because there are no other raised hands. Go ahead.
अच्छा जी. अच्छा सर, मेरा सवाल है, कुरान में 2 जगह सूरह यूसुफ और सूरह कहफ में आयत आई है जिसका तर्जुमा फअनसाहु शैतानो, यानी शैतान ने मुझे भुला दिया. सूरह यूसुफ में वो जो जिसको जिक्र किया था कि आप आका को जाकर मेरा जिक्र करें, और जो कहफ में हजरत मूसा अलैहिस्सलाम का खादिम था. माय क्वेश्चन इज कि क्या शैतान हमारे इरादों में, हमारी सोच और उसको अफेक्ट करके हमें वो डाइवर्ट कर सकता है और वो हम उसको भुला सकता है? डज दे हैव दिस पावर? थैंक यू सर.
हाँ नहीं, देखें, ये असल में कुरान का खास उसलूब है. ये ऐसी है कि जैसे हमारे साथ कोई अच्छाई वाक़ई होती है तो हम कहते हैं अल्लाह की तरफ से है. हालांकि ज़ाहिर है ज़रूरी नहीं कि वो अल्लाह की तरफ से हो. वो हम एक जैसे कहते हैं ना कि अल्लाह की ब्लेसिंग की तरफ उसको एट्रीब्यूट करते हैं. इसी तरह से जब कोई बुराई वाक़ई होती है तो हम कहते हैं शैतान ने हमें बरगला है. तो ये एक गुफ्तगू का अंदाज होता है जिसमें आप अच्छाई को खुदा की तरफ निस्बत देते हैं और बुराई को शैतान की तरफ. लेकिन जाहिर है उसके अंदर आपका अपना बहुत दखल होता है. अगर फर्ज कीजिए कि आप भूल गए हैं तो जाहिर है कि आप ही भूले हैं, लेकिन इसको शैतान से इसलिए मंसूब किया जाता है कि वो भी इस काम में बहरहाल जब आप उसको मौका देते हैं तो अपने काम को दिखा सकता है. तो इसका ये सिर्फ एक निस्बती चीज होती है, यानी इसका हकीकी भी मतलब वो नहीं होता कि जैसे कि आपने इसको समझा है कि शैतान वाकई ये काम कर रहा है. शैतान तो देखिए, इसको अल्लाह ताला ने ये कहा है कि वो सिर्फ सजेशन दे सकता है, यानी बाकी काम इंसान खुद करता है. इसी तरह से ये जो कहा गया कि फलां काम जो है अगर अच्छा हो गया तो आप कहते हैं खुदा की तरफ से है. तो ये हमारी उम्मीद होती है कि भाई चूंकि हमें अच्छाई नसीब हुई है, हमारी खुशकिस्मती हुई है, तो अल्लाह ताला की प्लानिंग होगी. तो ये एक एतबारी गुफ्तगू होती है, यानी इट्स लाइक अ सिंबॉलिक थिंग दैट वी से.
Thank you, Dr. Saleem. Sarma Tamjeed, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम डॉक्टर साहब. दिस इज योर यस्टरडेज लेक्चर जिसमें एक जगह आपने बताया था कि कुरान को समझना और उसके सियाक़ो सबाक में उसको पढ़ना चाहिए. तो अर्लियर ऑन मैं सिर्फ आई रिमेंबर आई यूज्ड टू रीड ओनली ट्रांसलेशन. आई नेवर यूज्ड टू रीड अरबिक ऑफ फ्रॉम द कुरान. तो आई स्पोक, उन्होंने कहा जी अगर मकसद सिर्फ ट्रांसलेशन ही होता तो शायद हुरूफ-ए-मुक़त्तआत ना रिवील किए जाते, जिनका मतलब शायद किसी को भी नहीं मालूम. तो प्रोबेबली अब जब हम कहते हैं कि जी उसको समझना जरूरी है, तो फिर हुरूफ-ए-मुक़त्तआत को रिवील करने का मकसद क्या था कि अगर उनका मतलब किसी को नहीं मालूम. इसी तरीके से मुतशाबिहात भी हैं.
एक मिनट यहाँ रुक जाएं क्योंकि आहिस्ता चलते हैं. देखिए, ये किसने कहा है कि हुरूफ-ए-मुक़त्तआत का मकसद या मतलब किसी को नहीं मालूम? ये आम चलती भी बात है. हुरूफ-ए-मुक़त्तआत जो हैं वो सूरतों के नाम हैं, और रवायात के अंदर भी, हदीसों के अंदर भी इस तरफ इशारा है, और खुद कुरान मजीद में इस तरफ ज़ालिका कह के इशारा है. और अरबों में आम तरीका था कि वो इस तरह से नाम रख देते थे. तो इसी तरह से आप देखिए कि सहाबा के दौर में सूरह बकरा का नाम था अलिफ लाम मीम बकरा, क्योंकि अलिफ लाम मीम से शुरू होती है. और सूरह आल इमरान जो उसकी मुसन्ना सूरत है, जिसकी पेट सूरह है, वो अलिफ लाम मीम आल इमरान कहलाती थी. तो ये जो हुरूफ-ए-मुक़त्तआत हैं ये असल में ये सूरतों के नाम हैं. तो अगर आप नाम पढ़ लेंगे तो इससे तो आपको सिर्फ वाक़फ़ियत ये होगी ना कि सूरह के नाम है. तो ये बात कि भाई अगर हमें एक चीज़ की समझना ज़रूरी है और हुरूफ-ए-मुक़त्तआत उसकी मिसाल है, ये मिसाल ठीक नहीं है. यही मामला मुतशाबिहात वर्सेस की है. मुतशाबिहात वर्सेस का मतलब वो है कि जिनमें आखिरत के अहवाल को तशबीह के उसलूब में बयान किया गया हो. इसका मतलब ये नहीं होता कि इसका मतलब सिर्फ अल्लाह ताला उसकी मुराद को जानते हैं, मतलब तो हम भी समझते हैं. आप देखिए ना कि ये कहा गया कि हजरत यूसुफ को 11 सितारे जो हैं वो सजदा कर रहे हैं, या ये बताया गया कि चांद सजदा कर रहे हैं. तभी हमें मालूम है कि असल में इससे क्या मुराद है. और यही मामला बहुत सारी और इस तरह की चीज़ों से है. ये बात कि अल्लाह ताला ने कहा कि आखिरत में 8 फरिश्ते जो हैं उनका तख्त को उठाए हुए होंगे, या 19 फरिश्ते जो हैं वो जहन्नम पर डिप्यूट किए गए हैं. तो अब ये इसका मतलब तुम्हें पता है, इससे हमें मुराद इसकी मालूम नहीं कि वो जो 19 फरिश्ते होंगे वो किस तरह के होंगे, या मिसाल के तौर पे उनकी हैत क्या होगी, और क्या फरिश्तों का भी ताल्लुक कोई जहन्नुम से होगा, और ये तख्त पे जो उठाने वाले फरिश्ते होंगे कैसे होंगे, और अल्लाह ताला का तख्त क्या होगा. तो एक चीज़ है किसी चीज़ की मुराद होना, और एक है किसी का मतलब होना. मतलब तुम्हें मालूम है कि अल्लाह ताला का तख्त 8 फरिश्तों ने उठाया होगा, लेकिन उसकी कैफियत मालूम नहीं है कि उसकी नौयत क्या होगी. इस वजह से ये दोनों बातें कि हुरूफ-ए-मुक़त्तआत और आयात मुतशाबिहात का मतलब ये है कि उनका पता नहीं होगा, ये इसके हक में दलील नहीं बनती हैं. میں تو آپ کو کل بھی شاید یہ بتایا تھا کہ دیکھیے یہ ہمارے ہاں غلط فہمی پیدا ہوئی ہے اس ضعیف روایت سے جس نے یہ کہا کہ آپ ایک لفظ پہ آپ کو 10 نیکیاں ملیں گی. یہ آپ نے بچپن سے سنی بھی ہے اور ہم لوگ اس کے لیے پروگرام ہوئے ہوئے ہیں. تو اس وجہ سے ہمیں لگتا ہے کہ بس ہم بغیر سمجھے ہوئے اگر وہ الفاظ جمع کر کے پڑھنا شروع ہو جائیں تو ہم وی آر جسٹ لائک گیدرنگ اینڈ کلیکٹنگ نیکیز. یہ ایک ارونیس کانسیپٹ ہے. نیکی کا تعلق اس چیز سے کوئی آپ عمل کریں جس سے آپ کو ریوارڈ ہوگا. محض ایک چیز کو تلاوت کرنے کا جو ریوارڈ ہے یہ تو ایک بالکل اجنبی چیز ہے اور یہ صرف دور حاضر میں وہ بھی سب کانٹیننٹ میں بہت زیادہ موجود ہے.
شکریہ.
Thank you, Dr. Saleem. Samina Naeem, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Ji, Dr. Shehzad, you have mentioned briefly about the universe today. I think there are a number of occasions in which the universe has been mentioned in the Quran. So, being such a big scholar yourself, mashallah, can you sum up the entire information about the universe that is given in Quran to us?
We have to first understand that the Quran is not a book of science. It's basically a book that relates to areas of our own morality, and it actually argues in favor of the hereafter by actually presenting the force and majesty and might of God. So this might and majesty of God is often presented in a way that the structures that he has built and the creativity that he has indulged in can show that if he has created this world once, he can do it again. And remember, the first and foremost adversaries of the Quran were the idolaters and the people of the book, and especially the idolaters. And they would be aghast when they would be told that this whole universe can be recreated, and mankind also, once it dies and becomes dust and bones, they can also be recreated. So basically, in order to tell them and in order to argue in favor of the might of God, these details regarding the universe have been presented, and not just the universe, there are several other details as well. So primarily, the first thing is that it's not a book of science. It's basically a book in which the might and power of God is argued. And as far as the universe itself is concerned, one of the things that the Quran tells us is that there are 7 heavens, and of course, which we can imply to mean there are 7 universes. And if you look at Surah number 65 and the last verse, it says, وَمِنَ الْأَرْضِ مِثْلَهُنَّ, and which means that for each of these universes, you'll have an earth like that of yours. Probably implying that there should be some sort of life on each of those earths besides us. And that is all. So basically, I would say that, it's like arguing in favor of the might and power of God, so that the people there who thought that this could not be recreated or this whole structure cannot be replicated, so they are basically given this knowledge that he has done it again. He's done it once and he can do it again.
Thank you, Dr. Saleem. Shabana, please سوال کر لیجیے اپنا.
جی السلام علیکم. تھینک یو سو مچ. میرا سوال ابھی ایک پارٹیسپینٹ نے سوال کیا تھا، اس سے میرے ذہن میں پیدا یا آپ نے جواب میں کہا تھا کہ جو نفس ہے، جو شیطان ہے، وہ ہمیں سجیشن دیتا ہے کوئی غلط کام کرنے کے لیے. تو میری یہ ریکویسٹ ہے کہ جیسے بڑے کاموں سے تو الحمدللہ اللہ تعالیٰ نے ایک عام مسلمان کو یا مجھے یا اس طرح کئی اور میرے جیسوں کو بچایا ہوتا ہے، لیکن جو روزمرہ ہر لمحہ جیسے جھوٹ، غیبت اور اس طرح کی بدگمانی سے جو نفس ہمیں یا شیطان سجیشن دیتا ہے، تو اس سے بچنے کے لیے تھوڑی گائیڈنس کریں پلیز.
نہیں دیکھیں،
کہ ہم
آپ
کے اوپر
یہ
ایکٹ فون نہ کر لیا کریں.
آپ کا مطلب ہے کہ ہمیں جو سجیشن اپنے نفس سے ملتی ہے.
جی نہیں، ہاں مطلب آپ نے یہ کہا کہ غلط کام کے لیے شیطان ہمیں سجیشن دے سکتا ہے، آگے سے اس پر عمل تو انسان خود ہی کرتا ہے. تو گائیڈ کریں کہ ہم اس کی سجیشن پر عمل نہ کر پایا کریں.
ہاں دیکھیں، وہ تو یہ وہ اسٹرگل ہے اور یہی وہ ایفرٹ ہے جس کے لیے ہم دنیا میں اتارے گئے ہیں، اور یہ سب اسی کو تو ہم آزمائش کہتے ہیں. اور آزمائش کسی چڑیا کا نام نہیں ہے، وہ یہی ہے کہ ہم شیطان کی طرف سے یا نفس کی طرف سے جو برے خیالات ہیں یا برے ارادے ہمیں سجھائے جاتے ہیں، وہ ان کو ہم روک تو نہیں سکتے. وہ تو ہمارے ظاہر ہے کہ سجیشن کے طور پہ، وسپر کے طور پہ ہمارے پاس آتے ہیں. ہمارا کمال یہ ہے کہ ہم ان کو اگنور کرنے کی کوشش کریں، اور اس میں جو سب سے بڑا سہارا ہے وہ اللہ تعالیٰ کا ہے. جب بھی کوئی اس طرح کا خیال آئے، آپ تعوذ پڑھ سکتے ہیں، استغفار پڑھ سکتے ہیں، اپنے آپ کو ڈائیورٹ کیجئے کسی اور اچھے کام کی طرف. فوراً جو ہے کسی چیز کی طرف متوجہ ہو جائیں تاکہ آپ اس چیز کا شکار نہ ہوں، اور جھٹک دیں اپنے آپ کو. اور پھر یہ کہ اچھائی کی طرف اپنے آپ کو زیادہ سے زیادہ مائل رکھیں، اچھے لوگوں کی صحبت میں آپ بیٹھیں، قرآن مجید سے آپ کا تعلق ہو. جو جتنے بھی لوگ ہیں جو پریشان حال ہیں، جن کی कोई ना कोई ज़रूरत है, उनके लिए आप कोई वॉलंटरी इख्तियारी काम करें। तो ये अच्छाइयाँ हैं जो बेसिकली आपको इन बुराइयों से दूर रखने की बायस बनती हैं। तो जितना ज़्यादा आप अपनी ज़िंदगी को प्लान करें कि मैं रोज़ाना अपने आप को ऐसे-ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट्स और ऐसे-ऐसे कामों में डालूँगी, और एक टाइम टेबल सा बनाइए जिसमें आप अपने हर लम्हे को कीमती समझिए। तो बुनियादी तौर पे असल में ये अच्छाई की तरफ आपको माइल करने की एक स्ट्रगल है, एक जिद्दोजहद है जिसको हमें हर वक़्त कायम रखना है, और उसी से ही आप डिफीट कर सकेंगे अपने नफ्स के ख़यालात को भी और शैतान के ख़यालात को भी।
Thank you,
Thank you
Dr.
so
Saleem.
much. Thank you.
I have 3 more questions, Dr. Saleem. Can I take them?
Yes, please go ahead.
Ruhi Rasool, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
सर आजकल फेसबुक वगैरह पर बहुत से उलमा जो है वो आपको तस्बीहात देते हैं कि मसलन कुल हुवल्लाह पढ़ोगे तो तुम्हारे औलाद और बेटों के तमाम मसाइल हल हो जाएंगे, और इसी तरह से और भी छोटी छोटी आयात सूरतें वगैरह बताते हैं, सूरत कौसर बताते हैं। तो इनमें क्या सच्चाई है?
ये तो देखिए उनसे पूछना चाहिए जो आपको ये कहते हैं कि इतनी दफा पढ़ें और ये हो जाएगा। तो इनसे पूछना चाहिए ना कि इसकी सोर्स क्या है। मैंने तो जितना देखा है हर जगह पे कोई ज़ईफ रवायत होती है, कोई ज़ईफ किस्सा होता है, इसमें कोई ऑथेंटिसिटी नहीं होती। और ये हमें एक आप यूँ समझ लीजिए कि एक बरगलाने की और एक बजाय इसके कि हम उस चीज़ का कोई एक्चुअल हल करें, हम तस्बीहातें पढ़ जाते हैं। बहुत सारे केसेस ऐसे होते हैं कि जहाँ पे आपको कोई अपने हिकमत अमली की तब्दीली की ज़रूरत होती है। बाज़ जगहों पे आपको किसी न किसी पहलू से ये समझने की ज़रूरत होती है कि मामले को आप कैसे ठीक कर सकें, लेकिन हम उस तरफ अपना ध्यान डालते ही नहीं हैं, और तस्बीहात में अपने आप को, तस्बीहात भी नहीं कहना चाहिए बल्कि इस तरह के विर्द होते हैं। तो ये आम तौर से आपको वाइज़ीन बता देते हैं। इसकी हमारे दीन में तो मुझे कहीं भी इसके बारे में कोई तज़किरा नहीं मिला कि इतना काम आप इतनी दफ़ा कर लेंगे तो ये हो जाएगा। ये मैंने जैसे कि अर्ज़ किया कि आप इसको ट्रेस करेंगे तो पीछे कोई ना कोई ज़ईफ़ कहानी या रवायत होगी।
Thank you, Dr. Saleem. Rashid Khan, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
Thank you very much for all what you do, Dr. Shehzad Saleem, and appreciate your answer to my question. I'm going to have you reflect on one of the hadiths, and I will try to narrate that to the best of my knowledge. It's from Abdullah bin Masud, and it is in regards to the sadaqah for the loved ones. And I think Saad ibn Abada, when he came from a ghuzwa, and he found out that his mother has died in his absence. So he went to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and asked him that I want to do sadaqah for my departed mother. And will it reach to her benefit? Will she be rewarded? And he nodded yes. And so he said, you are a witness. I am donating such and such garden to the reward for my mother. And he said in affirmative. So I would like you to reflect and comment on it. Thank you.
So I would like you to send me this narrative. I need to check it out because the apparent words of this narrative, they go against the Quran. You see, you just cannot do some good deeds on a good deed on behalf of someone. A person will earn what he or she himself had or herself had worked for. Having said that, there is one exception, or there is one possibility, but I would need to look that up in this hadith as regards to its detail as well. And that is, at times what has happened is that people who pass away, they make a certain vow. The way you say it, you make a nazar. And on such an occasion, if that is the case, then that nazar or that vow is like a promise, or it's like a debt on you. And if that is something that had happened in the case of this lady, then in all probability, his son was just trying to fulfill that promise that she had made in her own life. So that is the only possibility that can be thought of if the words are taken to be apparently what we have cited them. But other than that, I'd like to take a look at this, and I don't think that currently the way it has been narrated, it seems to be an authentic narrative.
Thank you, Dr. Saleem. Umar, please unmute your mic and ask your question, and this will be the last question today.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. We have great signs of God around us, but we get used to them and tend to forget about them, and we seem to be more impressed by gadgets and electric cars, etc. So what can we do to remember that God's great miracles are already around us?
I think reflection on nature. Go for a nature walk, go to the mountains and go to the scenic places. And if that is not possible, then reflect on your own self. Our human body is a miraculous system the way the blood runs through it, the way the heart pumps, the way the whole systems work, the way we conceive ideas, the way we forget our vows, the way we are able to hear, the way we are able to think, talk, and I mean, there's so many other things, so many faculties of our human body that is sufficient to make us realize. And that is why, if you look at the Quran, it always invites us to reflect on two things: one which is outside of us, which is the phenomena around us, and one inside of us. As you can see, the Quran says, "Wafi anfusikum." So reflect on the things that you have in your own self. I think that if both are done, then I mean, as you have said, at times it's not possible always to go out in the countryside and look at the world around us. But I think that if you look at your own self, that should also suffice.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saleem. Thank you for a wonderful session. Thank you to everybody who participated today. And inshallah, we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you. Khuda
you.
Hafiz.